Hey everybody, it's George Whittam reporting for Whittam's World. Did you miss me? Sorry it's been so long since I've had a regular episode, and there's been a lot going on and a lot of traveling and events, so I figured I would take a little break from the regular occurrences of the show. So let's dig right in and let's make this a really meaty one. These questions don't need very long answers, so let's see how many I can get through in about under 10 minutes. Steve Marvel asks, I'm using Audacity to record on a Windows 7 laptop and experience a persistent background hiss during recording. I'm using an AT2020 USB mic and therefore no other hardware. The hiss is present even with the mic unplugged and regardless of whether the laptop is plugged in to a wall outlet or running on batteries. Oh man, based on that information, if that noise is the same whether the mic's plugged in or not, I'm having a pretty strong feeling that you're using the wrong input in Audacity. It sounds like you might be recording from your laptop's built-in microphone. That would explain a high level of hiss and the fact that the hiss doesn't change whether the mic's plugged in or not. Test out my theory, Steve. It's been a long time since you've asked this question, so hopefully by now you've solved it, but it's a common problem that people mistakenly record the wrong source in their software. So double check your settings, triple check your settings, and every time you hit record, scratch the mic grill so that when you see the meters jumping up and down and you see the waveform going crazy, you know you're using the right microphone. Bob Schmidt asks, I'm currently using an Audio-Technica 2020 USB microphone in my home studio. Oh, there's a theme here. A little birdie told me that Santa Claus may be bringing me a Neumann TLM-103 microphone. What mic preamp and sound card do you recommend to use with the Neumann? If you haven't bought one or you're still thinking of upgrading, there's a few that I really like that are in the affordable category for sure. Let's say in the under $500 and under category, there's a couple of nice choices such as the Gap 73 and there's the Warm Audio WA12. And then hovering in around 500, there's the Grace, actually the M101 it is that I like. And there's also the True Precision P Solo. So there's a few options in the affordable category. And at the higher end category, go for a John Hardy. The John Hardy preamps are pristine and have a really cool sound and great pieces of equipment. Next up, John Barnier, or John Barnier, says, is there a functional difference between the M-Track Plus and the MBox Mini? I use an M-Track Plus and plug in my headphones to listen while recording, but for playback I can't hear it in the M-Track and have to plug it into the computer to hear the playback. Would the MBox Mini allow me to record and listen to playback without all that switching? And just about any audio interface that plugs in with USB that has a headphone jack should allow you to monitor audio while recording and also listen to playback. So either there's a knob on the front of the unit that's setting correctly, such as a monitor mixed knob. If it's turned all the way left, you're only going to hear what you're recording, the microphone live. And if it's all the way right, you're only going to hear the playback. So maybe that's set wrong. But unless something's wrong with the unit, it might be just a setting that might be wrong. And the MBox Mini is really not going to be any different. It's going to have the same functionality, and it's probably not going to sound any different. So maybe check to see if it's set correctly first before you go buying another piece of equipment. Robert Craigo says, I have been using the Electro-Voice RE20 mic for about 8 years for VO, and it seems to be doing a great job, but I am reading a lot of reviews on other recommended mics, and the RE20 is never mentioned. What are your thoughts about this mic? Well, it's a great broadcast microphone. It was designed for taking high SPL, in other words, high volume, and being used with your lips practically touching the grill of the microphone. It's kind of made to be idiot-proof so that a DJ, jock, radio jock can just shove it in front of their face and talk into it and get reasonably decent sound. But for the needs of a voice actor who needs something that's going to reproduce their voice faithfully, accurately, and have a lot of sensitivity for working at, with softer reeds without a tremendous amount of noise floor, not the best microphone for that job. So that's probably why you're not seeing a whole lot of people out there talking about this mic in the context of voice acting, because they do reject so much background noise or so much noise from behind because of its design. And so if you're in a less than perfect room or you have a lot of outside noise, it might be a mic that you could try. But at that price point, there's a lot of other options that, you might consider as well. Cassandra of Wladyslava says, I'm trying to treat my room/home studio. I think the space I have to work with is less than ideal, though. The room my computer is in opens up to my kitchen on one side and into the hallway, foyer, living room on the other. And there's no doors. I'm not sure of the exact measurements of the room, but it's pretty decent size. Do you have any advice on working with such a space? Well, is your room quiet enough? I guess that would be my first question to ask. There's nothing you can do to make a large open room, open floor plan home quiet unless you just live in a very, very quiet location. So that's going to be your first challenge. Is it quiet enough of the time to record in there? If you can find enough quiet time, well, yeah, you can make any space sound good with the right amount of acoustical treatment. Start off by using some moving blankets. They're incredibly effective. Create a tent all around the microphone and yourself. Give yourself a nice 3 by 3 foot space so you have some room to move, maybe 4 by 4 feet, and drape it with moving blankets all around you using movable screens, or make a frame out of pipe or wood, and you'd be amazed how great that could sound. You could also check out Dan Leonard's VOstudiosuit.com. The materials are very inexpensive for the performance that you get out of them, and they're very easy to set up. So yeah, you'd be able to make that room sound pretty good. It's just a matter of, is it quiet enough? This one's kind of long. I'm going to skim through it, but it's from Geoffrey Garland, and he said, I heard that you mentioned that you'd be doing a show on this soon, so maybe this question is a little late, but I wanted to ask you 2 specific mics, the Blue Spark Digital and the Blue Bluebird. He wants to know how it compares to the next mics up, like the Bluebird or the Baby Bottle. Everything has to do with the complements of the voice. That is absolutely true. But setting this crucial element aside for a moment, do you have any preliminary thoughts on these 2 pieces of equipment? The Bluebird's not USB, so I'd use a Blue Icicle. Do you see any distinct advantage of using a large diaphragm condenser over a smaller one? So these 2 microphones have slightly different designs, but inherently they're relatively similar. They both have a medium-ish to largish size diaphragm. The Blue Spark Digital mic's diaphragm is a little bit smaller. In general, smaller diaphragm mics tend to have a little bit higher noise floor or self-noise, so they're a little bit noisier, but not very much. And in a home studio environment, you're probably not going to hear the difference in the noise floor. So it really comes down to price and convenience. The Spark Digital is a really appealing mic because of its price point. First of all, around $200. And it's got a headphone jack, so you can monitor yourself in real time with no latency if you find that to be important. I find it to be pretty helpful sometimes. If you go with the mics up from there and go with a Blue Icicle preamp, the little USB adapter, you're going to get great sound quality, of course, but you won't have that headphone jack for 0 latency monitoring. So, you have to choose your poison there and decide which is the most important for you. They're both going to have great results. I think you're just going to have to try them out and see which works well for you. But why not start out with the Spark Digital if you haven't already? One last one from Liz Harris. I use my walk-in closet for recording, and although it's a nice size, the microphone boom arm takes up a good deal of space, and it can be awkward to position the mic. I've been looking for a wall-mounted arm, but haven't been able to find one. Is there one which you would recommend? Absolutely. In fact, I've got one, although it's not sitting in this room, but I'll bring it up here on the screen so you guys can see it. The arm that I'm using right here, there's a lot of spring-loaded and different types of desk mount type arms that usually are designed to clamp to the edge of the desk. But the key is to find a wall bracket that you can mount it to. And Heil Engineering, Heil Microphones, H-E-I-L, they make a wall bracket. So you can buy that wall bracket and use their brand of mic arms or just about any other company's mic boom arms and stick it in the wall bracket and you're good to go. And I love using them in small spaces. They are so much easier to deal with. All right, well, that was a marathon. If you have any questions you'd like to have answered on another episode of Whittam's World, please do send them in to whittamsworld@edgestudio.com, and I'll be glad to give you an answer on the show. If you'd like to get more immediate attention or one-on-one attention for your problem, then I'm certainly available for support. You can go to vostudiotech.com. You can click the Get Support Now button, or you can go to the Services menu and see what I have available for you in there. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you again on another episode of Whittam's World.